All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are going deep, deep into some really mind-bending stuff.
I love it. Let's do it.
We're going to be talking about the law of one.
Okay.
This whole idea that all is one and that everything in the universe is like totally interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And to make things even more interesting, we're going to see how this stacks up against Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, and Hinduism.
So we're going to be like comparing and contrasting, right? Looking at
Yeah.
where are the overlaps? Where are the points of tension?
Exactly. Exactly.
This is going to be fun.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Now, the law of one material itself,
Right.
it's not really presented as a religion, is it?
It's not. It's not.
It's more like this
It's more of a framework.
philosophical framework.
Yeah, like a cosmic lens
Yeah.
through which we can look at all these different faiths.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Now, before we even get to the religions themselves,
Right.
the law of one talks about things like densities and conscious creation. Can we, what
Absolutely.
do those terms even mean?
Okay, so in the law of one, densities refer to different levels of spiritual evolution or awareness. Think of it like layers of reality, each
Okay.
with its own unique vibrational frequency.
Oh, okay.
And conscious creation is this idea that our thoughts and our intentions and actions directly shape our reality
Okay.
and the reality around us.
So it's not just about believing in, a higher power, but it's
That's
about
participating
Yeah.
in the creation of,
actively shaping. Yeah.
yes, our own reality. And
Yeah.
that is huge.
So individual responsibility.
A key theme.
Yeah, the power of choice, all that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great foundation, I think, to
Yeah.
start with.
Yeah.
Now let's delve into how each of these religions approaches this concept of interconnectedness,
Okay.
which is so central to the law of one.
Yes.
So starting with Buddhism,
Okay.
what are the key principles here that we need to,
Well, Buddhism is built on the Four Noble Truths,
okay?
which acknowledge the reality of suffering, right?
Uh-huh.
Identify its cause, confirm that it can stop, and then lay out a path to actually achieve that liberation.
And that path is the Eightfold Path, right?
That is the path to liberation,
Okay.
which guides individuals toward right understanding, thought, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness,
Whoa, there's a lot there.
and concentration. It's a
Okay.
whole package deal.
And the ultimate goal of all that is to reach nirvana, right?
Precisely.
Which is this state of complete liberation from suffering.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nirvana is often described as this state of enlightenment where the individual ego kind of dissolves and you experience this profound sense of interconnectedness with everything.
Okay, so that definitely echoes the law of ones,
All is one.
all is one.
Absolutely. And it goes even deeper than that because you have this concept of anicca,
Anicca.
which means impermanence, right?
Right.
It suggests that everything is constantly changing.
Okay.
Everything is in flux, nothing stays the same, and that just emphasizes that interconnectedness even more.
Interesting.
It's like we're all part of this constantly moving, shifting web.
rolling this together, kind of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so Buddhism seems to have a pretty strong connection to the law of one right off the bat.
Right out of the gate, yeah.
But what about Christianity?
Okay,
How does its understanding of a personal God
right.
fit into this framework of interconnectedness?
That's where it gets really interesting, I think.
Okay.
Because the Christian understanding of a personal God offers, a different perspective on the divine,
Yeah.
while the law of one emphasizes a unified consciousness.
Right.
Christianity focuses on a God who is both transcendent
Okay.
and immanent, involved in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but also distinct from it.
Okay, so how does that play out in terms of service to others then?
Right.
Which is another big theme
Huge theme.
in the law of one. I mean, Christianity emphasizes love, forgiveness,
Absolutely.
serving one's neighbor,
All of that, yeah.
all that stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
And that aligns really nicely with the law of one's principle of service to others.
It does.
But the motivation might be a little bit different.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that.
So in the law of one, service to others is seen as this natural expression of our interconnectedness.
Okay.
And as a way to, accelerate our spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
Whereas in Christianity, it's often framed as an act of love
Okay.
and obedience to God's will.
So the underlying motivation might differ,
Might differ,
but the outward expression of service is still a point of connection.
for sure.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on to Islam,
Okay.
there was one thing in the source material that I found really intriguing about Christianity's connection to the law of one.
Oh, are you talking about agape love?
Yes, agape love.
I thought so.
Can you
Of course.
unpack that a little bit for our listeners?
Sure. Agape love, as described in Christian theology, is this selfless, unconditional love
Hmm.
that seeks the highest good of the other.
Okay.
It's a love that transcends, personal feelings, desires,
Right.
and it's often seen as this reflection of God's love for humanity.
Okay, and how does that connect to the law of one then?
Well, the law of one stresses the importance of radiating love and light outwards
Hmm.
as a way to serve others and to raise the overall vibration of like the entire universe.
Wow.
And that outward expression of love, right, aligns beautifully with the concept of agape.
That does, yeah.
It's a form of service that transcends personal gain,
Right.
It's motivated by this deep sense of compassion and connection.
Mm.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff. Yeah, it really is powerful stuff, and it makes you wonder how agape love kind of plays out in other religions too.
Right, right.
Like, even if they don't use the exact term, is the underlying principle there?
That's what you're saying, yeah.
Like, is that selfless love, that compassion, is that present?
Okay, so we've covered Buddhism and Christianity.
Yeah, we have.
Let's move on to Islam now.
Okay.
One of the things that really stands out to me about Islam
Yeah.
is its emphasis on submission to God.
Mm.
How does that concept align with the law of one's focus on,
Right.
individual responsibility and conscious creation?
That is a fantastic question.
It seems like maybe they're kind
It
of
seem a bit different, right,
at odds, yeah.
on the surface.
Yeah.
But I think if you look a little deeper,
Okay.
there are actually some pretty interesting parallels.
Okay.
So in Islam, submission to God, right, which is actually what the word Islam means.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it means submission or surrender.
Hmm.
Involves aligning yourself with the divine will.
Okay.
And that alignment could be seen as a form of conscious creation.
Okay, I see that, yeah.
By surrendering to this higher power, you're choosing to kind of shape your reality in accordance with.
Like a divine blueprint.
Exactly, like a divine blueprint.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily giving up control, but rather choosing to kind of align yourself with,
Something greater.
yes, a greater force.
Yeah, yeah.
And that idea of alignment, right,
Mm-hmm.
connects with the law of one's concept of like seeking harmony and balance.
Okay.
Like, by aligning our will with the will of the creator,
Yeah.
we can tap into this greater flow of energy
Oh, interesting.
and creativity.
But yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But what about the 5 pillars of Islam?
Right.
They seem to be more focused on personal devotion and ritual
Yeah.
than like directly serving others.
Right.
Which we know is a central theme in the law of one.
Yes, that's true.
So how do we reconcile that?
Well, I think while the 5 pillars definitely emphasize those personal practices, it's important to remember that they're ultimately meant to cultivate
Yeah.
a deeper connection with God
Oh.
and with our fellow human beings.
Right, right.
For example,
Okay.
zakat, which is the obligation to give a portion of one's wealth to charity,
Right, right.
directly addresses the needs of the less fortunate in the community.
Yeah, okay, so there is that element of service.
It's there.
Okay.
It might look different,
Right.
but it's definitely there.
It's interesting how these different religions kind of
Yeah,
express that principle in different ways.
absolutely.
What other parallels do you see between Islam and the law of one?
Well, I think the concept of Tawhid, the oneness of God,
Right.
aligns really beautifully with the all is one principle.
It does, yeah.
Right. They both emphasize this unified, like, underlying reality
Mhm.
that connects everything.
It's almost like they're both pointing to the same
Yeah.
fundamental truth, but just from
Different angles.
yeah, different perspectives
Exactly. And we can't forget about Sufism,
of Sufism.
the Sufi mystical tradition within Islam,
Oh, right, yeah.
which shares that emphasis on direct experience of the divine,
Okay.
going beyond the dogma, the
Mm.
rituals.
Yeah. So even though the outward expressions might differ,
Yeah.
the inward journey is still
It's a common thread.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
And that inward journey is often accompanied by, like, humility,
Mm-hmm.
surrender,
Right.
which are qualities that are also valued in the law of one.
Okay, so we've covered Buddhism, Christianity, Islam.
We have.
Now let's get into Hinduism.
All right, let's do it.
This is a big one.
This is a big one.
So, what are some of the key principles
Okay.
in Hinduism?
So Hinduism is such a rich tapestry of beliefs and practices.
Yeah, it's very diverse.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I'd say some of the core concepts that we should definitely touch on
Right.
are dharma, karma, and reincarnation.
Right. Okay.
So dharma refers to one's duty
All right.
or righteous conduct.
Mm-hmm.
Karma is the law of cause and effect.
Right.
And reincarnation is that continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth.
Okay. And the Bhagavad Gita
Yes,
explores these concepts in depth.
it does.
Right.
In a profound way.
Okay.
It offers these amazing insights into the nature of reality and, the importance of fulfilling one's dharma.
Yeah.
And it also emphasizes the value of selfless action.
Oh, okay. So that's a big connection there with the law of one.
Huge connection.
Right.
It is.
Okay. So tell me more about that.
So the law of one suggests that true service comes from a place of detachment, right?
Okay.
Unconditional love.
Mhm.
It's about acting for the benefit of others without expecting anything in return.
Right. Right.
And that aligns perfectly with the Bhagavad Gita's message of
Acting selflessly. Yeah.
selfless action, surrendering the ego's desire for reward.
It's like they're both pointing towards this higher form of service
Yeah.
that transcends. Yeah.
That transcends the
I grew up with
self-gain.
plan. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that emphasis on selfless action is closely tied to the Hindu concept of karma.
I'm intrigued. Explain that connection.
So in Hinduism, karma is not about punishment or reward,
Okay.
but it's about cause and effect. Every action we take, whether positive or negative,
Right.
creates this ripple effect
All right.
that influences our future experiences.
So it's like everything we do,
everything matters. And it doesn't just affect us.
it affects everyone.
It affects the entire web
Oh, okay.
of existence,
Yeah.
which aligns with the law of one's understanding that we are all co-creators of our reality.
So our actions don't just affect ourselves,
They affect everything,
but they affect the whole.
the whole universe
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah. And then there's this concept of Brahman.
Brahman, yes.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. Can you break that down for us in simple terms?
I'll try my best.
Okay.
So Brahman is the ultimate reality.
Yeah.
The source of all existence. It's often described as this like formless, infinite,
Okay.
all-encompassing consciousness.
And how does that connect with the law of one?
Well, the law of one describes this unified consciousness
Yeah.
from which all things emanate.
So that concept resonates strongly with the Hindu understanding of Brahman.
Yeah, it's like that underlying reality that connects everything.
Exactly. It's like the ground of being.
Okay, so they're both pointing towards this idea of a single unifying force
Yes.
that permeates all creation.
Yes. Very profound.
Yeah, it is. And it has implications for how we view ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
It suggests that we are not these isolated individuals.
We're all connected.
We're all connected.
Right.
We're all part of this larger whole.
Okay, now we've explored some pretty amazing connections between Hinduism and the law of one.
Yes.
But there is one aspect of Hinduism
Okay.
that seems to create some tension with the law of one's principle of equality.
Are you thinking of the caste system?
Yes, the caste system.
Yeah.
How does the law of one
Right.
reconcile with that?
That's a great question.
It seems like kind of.
It seems like a contradiction, right?
Yeah.
Because you have this system that historically has created social hierarchy,
Inequality, yeah.
inequality, and the law of one is all about
Oneness.
oneness, equality,
Yeah.
the inherent divinity of all beings.
Yeah. So how do we
It's a tough one.
square that circle?
Yeah, and I don't think the law of one necessarily condemns the caste system outright,
Okay.
but it might view it as a stage
Like a stage in our evolution?
in humanity's collective evolution
Okay.
towards greater understanding
Right.
and unity.
So we're all on a journey.
We're all on a journey,
And we're all at different
stages.
points in that journey.
Exactly.
Oh,
And the law of one encourages us to view all experiences, even the ones that seem really challenging
Yeah.
or unjust,
Right.
as opportunities for learning and growth.
That's a good perspective.
It is. And even within these seemingly rigid systems, individuals have the power to choose love, compassion, service.
Right.
Those are the qualities that ultimately align us with the law of one.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Man, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism.
It's amazing to see how all these different spiritual traditions,
I know, right?
with their own unique histories and beliefs, can actually kind of converge
Yeah.
on certain, like, universal truths.
Yeah, it's like the law of one acts as this universal translator,
Okay.
helping us to understand the underlying wisdom in each of these faiths.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's like we're looking through this cosmic kaleidoscope.
Ooh, Ooh, I like that.
seeing the same fundamental principles, but
Reflected in all these different ways.
yeah, exactly.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so we've laid out all the core principles.
We have.
We've compared and contrasted them with the law of one.
Mm-hmm.
We found some really interesting parallels.
Lots of parallels.
Now, for the moment of truth,
Here we go.
the ranking.
I knew you couldn't resist the ranking.
I had to.
But before we dive into that, I think it's important to remember
Yeah,
that this ranking is subjective, right?
of course.
It's based on our interpretation of the source material.
Totally.
No right or wrong answer.
Listener, if you're out there.
Yeah. Have you come up with your own rankings?
Yeah. What have you been thinking? What really stands out to you as being aligned with the law of one?
All right. So based on our deep dive today,
Yeah.
I would say that Buddhism takes the top spot
I agree.
for me.
Yeah, the emphasis on interconnectedness, compassion,
Yes.
the pursuit of liberation from suffering.
All of that.
It just feels so deeply aligned.
It feels very resonant, right?
Yeah.
With the law of one.
And all those concepts we discussed, like
Dependent origination.
Virtica.
Anika, the bodhisattva ideal.
Yeah.
It all points to like a really profound understanding of interconnectedness and a commitment to service.
It's like Buddhism really offers this
A roadmap.
clear roadmap
Or embodying these principles.
for how to actually live the law of one.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, Buddhism gets the gold medal.
Gold medal for Buddhism.
What about second place?
For me, it's got to be Christianity.
Okay, interesting. What puts it ahead of the other two?
Okay, so while the concept of original sin definitely presents a different perspective on the nature of humanity,
Okay.
I think the core message of love, forgiveness, serving others,
Right.
that resonates so strongly with the law of one.
It does, yeah.
And then you have agape love, which we talked about.
That unconditional love,
The
yeah.
self-less, unconditional love that seeks the highest good of the other.
It's beautiful.
It is, and it just aligns so beautifully with that idea
Mhm.
of radiating love and light outwards.
It's a reminder that true service often involves, transcending the ego. Yeah, our own desires and just acting from that place of
Pure compassion.
pure compassion, yeah.
Yeah. And I think the examples we talked about from the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
like loving your neighbor,
Yeah.
God sacrificing his son
Right.
out of love for humanity,
It's powerful.
those speak volumes
Yeah.
about the power of love.
And its connection to service.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you on that one.
Okay, good.
Buddhism first, Christianity second. Now, the tough part,
The tough part.
choosing between Islam and Hinduism.
Oh, this is a tough one.
I know.
They both offer so much.
They do.
Right.
Yeah.
They both have these profound insights that resonate with the law of one.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder
What's that?
that no single religion has a monopoly on truth.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
That's so important to remember.
They each offer this unique perspective.
Something's Basil.
Yeah, on the mysteries of existence.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, it comes down to how we interpret these different principles.
Yeah, how we weigh them.
Right.
What are we prioritizing?
Okay, so how are you weighing them?
Okay, so if we're prioritizing the law of one's emphasis on conscious creation and individual responsibility as our primary lens, I would say that Islam aligns a bit more closely than Hinduism.
Okay.
So Islam, with its focus on submission to the divine will, aligns really well with that idea of conscious creation.
It's like surrendering to that higher power.
Yes.
Is a form of
aligning yourself with the divine blueprint.
Yeah.
And then you have Tawhid.
Right, the oneness of God.
Which resonates deeply with the all is one.
Okay, but what about Hinduism's emphasis on dharma and selfless action?
Right, so those concepts are very much aligned with the law of one.
Yeah.
And the Bhagavad Gita's teachings about performing your duty without attachment to the results.
Yeah.
That's profound.
It is.
It's a beautiful perspective on service.
But I think, and tell me if you agree with this, the concept of karma, with its focus on cause and effect, and the interconnectedness of actions, it kind of leans a little bit
more towards a deterministic worldview.
Yeah, which maybe contrasts a little bit with the law of one's emphasis on
free will, and choice.
Okay, I see that,
Yeah, it's a subtle distinction.
It is, but it's an interesting one.
And I think it might shift the ranking just slightly.
Okay, so we have Buddhism in first, Christianity in second,
Yes.
Islam in third, and Hinduism coming into a very respectable fourth place.
Very respectable. And again, this is just our interpretation.
Of course.
It's based on our exploration.
Listener, we encourage you to check out all these religions.
Explore them for yourself.
Yeah.
See what resonates with you.
Come up with your own rankings.
Well, what sparks your curiosity?
This has been a fascinating exploration.
It has.
Of the interconnectedness of all these different spiritual traditions.
It's a beautiful tapestry, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's a reminder that the search for truth is a multifaceted journey.
And there are many paths.
Many paths.
That lead to that summit of understanding.
Yeah, we might use different maps.
Right.
But we're all ultimately heading towards the same destination.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, and even though these religions might seem different on the surface, they share these common threads.
They do.
That point towards this deeper, unifying reality.
And the Law of One really helps us to see those commonalities.
It does. It's a beautiful lens.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey exploring all this with you.
It really has.
Listener, we hope this deep dive has sparked your own curiosity.
And inspired you to keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep asking those big questions.
Keep seeking.
Keep seeking.
Until next time.
Yes.
May you walk in love and light.
And may the Law of One be with you.